Mangwana ni malelepo vukenjani Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Bedi and Glenn Orashapura. How are you, Glenn?
I'm very well, especially since it was raining. You know,
it was raining. It's really been good weather in Windhoek. I'm really enjoying it.
It's very beautiful, except when it rains in the night. You know, you want to sleep longer. But of course, we had to wake up. And
we're back. It's essential.
We're always excited to be on this show. Now, getting into what you can expect in today's broadcast, Parliament announces Speaker Mapisa-Nqakula's replacement. Voters choose a new president after a political crisis. And nearly 300 abducted schoolchildren were freed in Nigeria. We'll also be talking to Gore, who will be filling us in on the latest news in Zimbabwe. And a little bit later on, Ari Hohat will be bringing us the sports news.
Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning. We start our top stories in South Africa, where the Deputy Speaker Solomon Leshesa Tenoli will be filling the shoes of beleaguered National Assembly Speaker Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula. Now, Mapisa-Nqakula is implicated in bribery and corruption allegations involving more than 2.3 million rand, which date back to her time as the Minister of Defense between 2012 and 2021. On Tuesday last week, the Hawks, acting on behalf of the National Prosecuting Authority's Investigating Directorate, raided her Johannesburg home. The Speaker, who announced on Thursday that she would be taking special leave from her crucial role in Parliament, filed an urgent High Court application to interdict law enforcement authorities from arresting her on Friday. Now, according to Parliament spokesperson Moloto Motapo, the work of the National Assembly remains unaffected.
Getting into our next story, Senegalese citizens took to the streets to protest against the potential extension of President Macky Sall's term beyond the 2nd of April. The date designed by the Constitution for the transfer of power, carrying flags and banners emblazoned with messages such as election by force and terminus April the 2nd. Demonstrators voiced their staunch opposition to any attempt to prolong Sall's presidency. Organized by a citizen platform, the protests garnered widespread support from individuals across various segments of society. Chimere Manga, one of the protesters, emphasized the importance of Senegal's sovereignty, declaring Senegal does not belong to a third-party community that should dictate the fate of its people. She condemned what she perceived as unjust imprisonments and the closure of universities, issues emblematic of broader grievances against the current administration.
Now, nearly 300 kidnapped Nigerian children have been released, local officials said yesterday, more than 2 weeks after the children were seized from their school in the northwestern state of Kaduna and marched into the forest. At least 1,400 students have been kidnapped from Nigerian schools since 2014, when Boko Haram militants kidnapped hundreds of schoolgirls from Borno State's Chibok village in 2014. In recent years, abductions have been concentrated in the country's northwestern and central regions, where dozens of armed groups often target villages and travelers for ransom. Kaduna State Governor Uba Sani did not give details of the release of the 287 students abducted from their school in the remote town of Kuriga on March 7, at least 100 of them aged 12 or younger. In a statement, he thanked Nigerian President Bola Tinubu for particularly ensuring that the abducted school children are released unharmed.
Now, the commencing of operations for the Farmers Bank has for more than 3 years been delayed, as it has been argued that this was due to that it had still not complied with certain procedures as per the provision of the Financial Institution Act of 2005. Now, recently, members of parliament sought answers from the Ministry of Finance on the status of the bank and what was currently being done. In a response provided by the Ministry of Finance, the Farmers Bank remains a licensed bank under the aforementioned act. According to the ministry, the CBE last reviewed the Farmers Bank's license in September 2023 for 1 year. The ministry said the bank is, however, considered a bank in organization since it had not commenced operations or opened doors to the public.
All right, now the U.S. government intends to make available $22 million in new funds in this year to support stabilization efforts in Cabo Delgado, Mozambique, the U.S. Embassy in Maputo has announced. In a statement on the conclusion of a visit from March 17 to 21 to Mozambique by the Assistant Secretary of State for the Bureau of Conflict and Stabilization Operations, N.A. Vikovsky, notes that the provision of these funds still depends on approval in Congress. With this investment, the United States will have dedicated nearly $100 million in stability-focused assistance in northern Mozambique since 2022. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. After the break, we continue to decentralize the news for you as we talk to talent Gore in Zimbabwe.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraita. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
Neopaints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neopaints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neopaints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Now we are having some trouble connecting with talent Gore. But let's take a look at this video. The mRNA technology transfer program has moved to the next phase of its development early last year. Here is a snippet of World Health Organization Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus' remarks on WHO mRNA technology transfer program during the inauguration of the mRNA Technology Hub facility at Afrigen, South Africa.
For moderating this session and for your leadership of MPP. Your Excellency, Minister Zimande, Your Excellency, Minister Fana, Your Excellency, Minister Tibina Ryan, Deputy Executive Director Seychelles, Your Excellencies, dear colleagues and friends. A heartfelt thank you to the South African Consortium, Afrigen, BioVac, the South Africa Medical Research Council, and the Government of South Africa for hosting this very important event. I visited the mRNA Hub 30 months ago, and I'm glad to know of the remarkable progress since then. Petro showed us everything, and she was upbeat that they would make significant progress, and that's what happened. So thank you Thank you, my friend, my sister, Petro, and all your colleagues. The COVID-19 pandemic highlighted that one of our most important strategies for addressing global health emergencies is to increase the capacity of all regions to produce medical countermeasures such as vaccines and therapeutics. That's why WHO is supporting this multilateral effort on the mRNA technology transfer program. There are 4 key barriers to vaccine manufacturing in low and middle-income countries, as we all know. First, access to know-how. Second, a local skilled workforce. Third, a national regulatory authority to ensure quality and safety. And fourth, sustainable investments and maintenance costs, along with access to a reliable market of sufficient size. Countries have a crucial role to play in supporting local manufacturing, particularly at the early stages. The short-term cost of saving from procuring cheaper imported vaccines should be balanced against the value of supporting domestic production capacity that will be critical to national health security. In light of these factors, there is need for a coherent regional strategy for mRNA vaccine production, because it would not be sustainable for each nation to build these facilities. There is also a need regional infrastructure planning, including how these vaccines will be procured during emergencies. Also needed a regional plan for supply chain ingredients, as some countries produce reagents, vials, and other important components. All of this underscores the need for coordination, collaboration, and coherence at the national, regional, and global levels. WHO believes that the mRNA technology transfer program holds huge promise, not just for increasing access to vaccines against COVID-19, but for other diseases, including HIV, tuberculosis, as well as other diseases affecting lower and middle-income countries for which there are either no vaccines or the vaccines are insufficient. For this reason, WHO is establishing an mRNA research and development network to provide a collaborative platform to expand mRNA vaccine pipelines, accelerate product development, and access to know-how. I thank again the South African Consortium and the program partners and the funders for their support, and all the experts who contributed to the success of this landmark program. Again, I'm impressed by the progress that was made. Last year, it was with the Minister of Development of Belgium, Minister Miriam. We were together. And this year, also from Europe, we are represented through Minister Tevina Ryan. And the support from donors is very, very important. And I would also like to thank you for the support you so far provided. But considering the ambition that we have now, I think continued support, even bigger support, will be necessary. And I hope you will continue to support this precious project that will bring a paradigm shift in addressing the serious problem we have faced, the equity problem.
Getting into our economic news stories, Ethiopia aims to pass legislation to let foreigners own real estate as part of the country's broader plan to open up the economy and attract investors, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said on stage TV late on Saturday. Currently, foreigners are barred from owning houses in Ethiopia, either residential or commercial buildings, which is seen as a hurdle to ongoing efforts to attract foreign investment to the Horn of Africa country. State TV said Abiy told a meeting of large taxpayers in the capital Addis Ababa that his government was finalizing a new law to let foreigners own real estate property, although he did not say when the legislation would be introduced in Parliament.
Swinging over to Kenya, the Kenyan state has turned to the National Security Intelligence Service to help secure passport printing materials from overseas to clear a backlog of 724,000 applications and new requests. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki told Parliament the government is facing difficulties sourcing passport printing materials due to worldwide supply chain shortfalls. I have assigned the National Intelligence Service to support the State Department for Immigration and Registration of Citizens to get us these travel materials. Professor Kindiki told the Regional Integration Committee. He told Parliament that the Immigration Department requires 3 million passport booklets every 90 days.
Those have been our economic news stories. Let's have a look at the indicators just before Ari joins us, bringing us the latest sport. From Formula One to South African rugby to golf and cricket, here's Ari Hogad with the latest sport. How's it going, Ari? Do take it away.
Yes, very good morning, Ashwin. Yes, a busy sport weekend indeed, and it is. We can start with Formula One racing, and the Formula One racing is always interesting. But we're used to saying Max Verstappen won. Now we can say he didn't win, and it took a mechanical failure. His brakes break down in the Australian Grand Prix, and that's the winner. That is Carlos Sainz, and that's also a brilliant story. It's almost from the operating table to victory. He was out of the previous Grand Prix because of a pending operation. He came back, he had discomfort, but he won in his Ferrari. It was Ferrari 1 and 2. Carlos Sainz winning the Australian Grand Prix, Charles Leclerc in second, and Lando Norris in the McLaren in the third. So not a good day for the Red Bull, for Max Verstappen. It was early in the race on the fourth lap that he had to pull out of the Grand Prix. Also, Lewis Hamilton in his Mercedes didn't have a good race as well, also had to pull out early in the race. So what it means now, Max Verstappen still leading, although he didn't get any points in Australia, 51 points. Charles Leclerc in his Ferrari now second, 47 points. All of a sudden, it is quite close and interesting. And it is Sergio Perez, 46 points. And Carlos Sainz, after missing last week, is on 40 points. And it is the next one coming up this coming weekend. It's the Japanese Grand Prix. So all of a sudden, it's quite competitive. And it would be nice to see the Ferrari and McLaren chasing down the Red Bull. Onto the rugby news, it was a good results for all four of the South African rugby franchises in the United Rugby Championship. That's Curtly Arends scoring a great try. That was against the Dragons, so that was a away win for them. Important win. They scored 4 tries as well for bonus point. 31-10 they won. That is a sight that we're not quite used to. That is Steven Kitshoff playing in an Ulster jersey. He used to be the captain of the Stormers, and but it was a good day for Ulster. It was the Sharks that all of a sudden also almost like the Formula One racing, Max Verstappen that kept on winning. It was the Sharks that was losing all the time. They beat Ulster by 22-12. and they're back on winning ways again. That was in Durban. The Stormers winning 43-21. That was against Edinburgh and Cape Town. Important win to keep them in the top 5. And also the Lions, a bit of a surprise away win against Connacht, the team from Ireland. It was 38-14, so a great win there for the Lions. On to some golf, real briefly. It was on the European Tour. Firstly, the American, that's the Valspar Championship. It was Peter Malnati. He won, a bit of a surprise, -12. He's from America, beating some of the big names in world golf. And then on the European Tour, it was Jesper Svensson. He's a young player from Sweden. He won the Porsche Singapore Classic, and that was a good win for Jesper Svensson on the DP World Tour. Also, Nelly Korda winning on the LPGA. So that was some of the golf results. And then just to close off, the IPL, Indian Premier League, that started. It was the Super Kings, or the Royal Bangalore Challengers, that showed that they're going to be a team to beat again. They won the opening game against the Chennai Super Kings. So lots of cricket that was played. Some good performances by Heinrich Klaassen of South Africa, also Devil Brevis of South Africa. But lots of IPL to be played daily almost. And so that's a tournament that kicked off over the weekend. So well done to Carlos Sainz. Knows football in the Premier League. Coming up, big games coming up, Ashwin. So Arsenal involved in a big one this coming weekend. But we'll talk about that in the week. Have a great sport week, everyone. And we talk again tomorrow, International Sport. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Harry, for keeping us updated on the latest happenings in the sporting world. After the break, we get into the highlights. Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning throughout the broadcast. Let's have a look at the highlights. Parliament announces Speaker Mapisa-Nqakula as replacement. Voters choose a new president after political crisis in Senegal. Ethiopia to let foreigners own property, Prime Minister says on State TV.
And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Monday morning. From me, Glenn Rashipura.
And me, Ashwin Berry. Let's have a wonderful week. Suraj Zakanaka.